So, I've been playing video games regularly since I was a toddler. I've played a myriad of genres, from platformers to first-person shooters to puzzle games to racing games to hack and slashes, and so on and so forth. But recently, I've noticed a strange shift in how video games tell their stories and expand on their world building, and that's by giving subtle hints about their lore. I've heard this word be said so many times in the past 5 years or so when it comes to gaming, and it's kind of irked me a bit. And yes, I know that TV shows, comics and movies also have lore in them, but for this video I'll be specifically discussing game lore. I'm Rycab Productions, and let's get into this. So, what the fuck even is lore anyways? Lore. Background information about the fictional characters in the book, film, computer game, etc., and the fictional place and situation in which its events happen and is accepted as true by its fans. Or, the space between the eye and the base of the bill of a bird, or between the eye and nostril of a snake. So Ultrakill fans have been discussing birds this whole time, huh? And Ultrakill is the main reason as to why I am making this. Its new update, that being the fraud layer, is the catalyst for this video. Also, by the way, spoilers for these games shown on screen, as I'll be talking about them very in depth and about their lore very in depth as well. So, I was watching this let's play of the fraud layer by this guy on YouTube. I can't remember who it was by, but I definitely remember what happened in the video. When the guy came across this painting of Gabriel and the other archangels in the level Heartbreak Wonderland, he literally shouted, "Lore! Lore! Lore! Lore!" at the top of his lungs, and oh my god man, it was so cringe to watch. Yo, lore! 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 Oh my god, lore! There's lore! 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 Now, don't get me wrong, I love this game and I think it's fantastic, but the way it handles its storytelling and lore by keeping things intentionally vague so that fans can go wild with their theories and make lore videos about it kind of rubs me the wrong way. Like, since when did lore replace backstory? Like, back in my day, god, I'm starting to sound like an old man, I'm only 25. Back in my day, we called it backstory instead of lore, and back in my day, you can send nudes of yourselves on your phones. Well, I mean, I guess you kind of could, but they wouldn't be to the best quality though. The word lore actually stems from the word folklore. You know, old myths being passed down through the ages about a country's mythical creatures, and legends being passed down through generations about stories like King Arthur and the Arabian Nights and so on and so forth. You know, loads of tales and myths to give like the land and the country and the culture more flavour. And game worlds also do this, but they recontextualise about their characters and their environments. I think I first heard the term lore when discussing the game Overwatch back in 2016 with my school friends, you know, back when that game was huge and everyone was playing it. I was discussing who my favourite characters to play were, and one of them said, "Oh, but do you know about the character's lore though?" And I was like, I don't know much about the lore and I kind of don't really care for it. And he went, "Oh, but the lore is good, bro. Like, it's got such an in-depth lore. Overwatch's lore is so good, you should look into it." Now, Overwatch was a multiplayer shooter game and the story wasn't really relevant to the gameplay. And I remember there were those like animated shorts that Blizzard would release on their YouTube channels that had some stories told in them about the characters, but the game itself didn't actually tell you anything. You had to look up YouTube videos or look at the game's wiki to understand the characters' backstories and learn more about the world of Overwatch. That was probably my first exposure to it and the word lore, and did anybody else talk about lore before that? Because now, it seems like games need to tell you their world stories and mythos in very non-conventional ways, like with text documents or audio logs scattered throughout the worlds, or content outside the games like on social media through like ARGs and other ways, which could be due to like contemporary technology and internet culture. Like, for example, in the 2000s during the PS2, GameCube, Wii and Xbox 360 eras, it didn't really feel like all the games were like stocked with these, and the game's stories and the lore were like explicitly told to you by its characters, like in the Legend of Zelda games around this time, like Twilight Princess and Skyward Sword, where all the characters blatantly told you about the wars that happened in the past and how the world works and all the relationships between the characters. But compare that to the more modern games like Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, where the characters constantly reference the past but don't explicitly tell you about it, and there are like a shit ton of books to read with loads of vague environmental storytelling, which I like to dub theory bait. Going back to Ultra Kill and its painting of the Archangels, where it's like, look guys, the fourth figure's been ripped out and his name has been crossed out. Who could this be? Go wild with the discussions, motherfuckers, go wild, discuss it. You see, that is clear theory bait. Of course, in the 90s and 2000s, the internet and content creation was a lot more niche back then, so games couldn't really utilize external factors like websites or rely on YouTubers, subreddits or Discord servers to decipher their lore, and games had a much smaller file size back then in general too, so that could also be a reason for that. I mean, there were exceptions, like there were games like Borderlands and the Batman Arkham games which did have in-game audio logs and documents, but it didn't really feel like you were missing out on anything if you skipped them. They were just cute little extra tidbits going more in depth as to how the characters got there and why they are there in the current story. Hell, I never listened to any of those in the Batman Arkham games when I first played them, and in Borderlands I'd only really pick one up if it was like right there in front of me. And I still had an amazing time with them. I had a splendid time with those games. Unlike Poppy Playtime, where it shoves the VHS tapes and all these notes in your face, and it feels like you need to do extra research outside the game to get the full picture. In fact, I'd say Poppy Playtime is probably the worst example when it comes to this, but I'm not going to get in depth with Poppy Playtime because I don't really like the game. I realised this shift in storytelling rose concurrently alongside the rise of the internet and more fan creation content, and I think we all know what franchise catapulted this to ludicrous proportions. We all know it. It's scary, features uncanny animatronics, is known for its jump scares, and we know what IShowSpeed's penis looks like because of it.
Yeah! Oh, Chica, I miss you. I'm about to fuck you, Chica.
Yep, it's Five Nights at Freddy's! Oh boy, the ripple effects this tiny game had on the industry is wild, honestly. The first few Five Nights at Freddy's games had huge amounts of mystery about their lore and their story. Scott Cawthon loved messing with people's heads by dropping so many contradictory hints about when the games take place, who caused the Bite of 87, and keeping things so vague that it spawned shit tons of theory and lore videos, most notably from Game Theory, with its like 50 plus or so videos on them, and a lot of it was treated as secondary to the gameplay of, fending off the animatronics and trying not to get jump scared. Now, this makes sense, as the first couple of Five Nights at Freddy's games were very small and had pretty much no money put into them whatsoever. So he didn't really have the budget nor the resources or time to show the story more in depth, and kept things like intentionally vague. And don't get me wrong, it can be fun to speculate about this stuff here and there, like to have discussions about it with your friends and think, oh, I think this character did the Bite of 87, or this game took place before this game. But the thing is, when every game now starts doing it, it just gets fucking annoying and oversaturated. It's kind of the same with the early days of Call of Duty Zombies, with games like Call of Duty World at War, Black Ops 1 and Black Ops 2 Zombies game modes, wanting to tell this grand epic story, but they were dragged down by the fact that not much money was poured into them, and well, let's be honest, Zombies still doesn't have a lot of budget poured into it, but the story is more prominent now. Back then, they had to rely on audio logs spoken by the characters and have little hints of like environmental storytelling here and there to expand on the lore. Like, seriously, if you haven't looked into Call of Duty Zombies lore, go and do it. It'll blow your mind. Like, if Nuketown was in your brain and the nuke went off. What the fuck? The Portal games were kind of also like a precursor to this like trend as well. Like, you're a test subject called Shell who awakens in an abandoned science facility that was once thriving, but now it's all empty and abandoned and overgrown. A lot of stuff obviously went down here, and there's little bits of lore here and there mentioned by like GLaDOS, and like you find out about Aperture Science's CEO, but you don't really get anything else. Honestly, I feel like if Portal was released now in 2026, then throughout the game you'd be collecting old documents written by employees, or radios would have former employees' conversations recorded on them, or you'd find like hidden personality cores on them that like spout out lore about Aperture Science and Aperture Science's rivals and business meetings and shit like that. And YouTubers would compile all of these and make like 2-hour-long lore videos about the game. Like, you know that would happen, that would straight up happen. I guess it's the same with Half-Life, although I've not played a Half-Life game, so... And, you know, nowadays some people get riled up about whether or not there's like a lore reason for something being in the game diegetically, and like why it can do what it does. It's like, some people hate the fact that a tutorial is not an in-game tutorial, like, oh, your character is literally going through in-game training or it's a simulation. Like, it's just a tutorial. It doesn't need to have an in-universe reason for being there. An example of like an object being in the game is like, and doing what it can do, is like the aforementioned Call of Duty Zombies. The mystery box is explained to have the ability to pull in weapons from across space and time, which explains why you can use like 21st century guns and wonder weapons during World War II. And some of those actual like wonder weapons were designed by like in-universe scientists and everything. The Bayonetta games have these like chests that you can open for goodies, but apparently they're actually tombs of old deceased Umbra witches, and the goodies inside them are actually gifts that they give to anyone who can open them, who has like the strength to open them. I mean, it's a cool little detail that it's there in universe, but like not every single object or every single thing needs to have a lore reason for being there. And now I hear people bringing up lore when trying to tell someone to play the game that they like and like why they like it. You know, like they try and sell it to them to get them to play it, such as, "Hey yo, brah, you need to play this game called The Death of Skibbity Ridston, bro. It's like got such addictive gameplay and great music, and the lore, oh my god, the lore is so damn good, bro. It's got such a good lore, bro, like it's so in-depth, bro. You need to look up the game's lore, look up all these 2-hour-long videos about the lore. Don't even fuck about the game, the lore is so good. It's so good." Okay, yeah, sure, I'll check it out, I'll put it on my playlist. And now you see people using the word lore outside of gaming, like in all these memes that I've seen of like Earth lore, whale lore, serial killer lore, and in real life, I've actually had someone say to me, verbally, "Hey there, let me show you some of my cat lore," before whipping out their fucking phone and showing me pictures of their cats. Like, she, and yes, it was a girl that did this, could have said, "Let me show you my cats," and that would have been fine, but no, she just had to show off how nerdy she was, I guess. Like, for instance, like if I say that I was born in Wales, in Cardiff, and I graduated with a degree in animation in 2022. And some imbecile fucking Redditors would probably say, "Whoa, did we just get some Rycam Productions? Shut the fuck up." Yeah, you get the point. To conclude this video essay, yeah, I can't believe I've finally made a video essay, been a long time coming, huh? I personally don't mind this kind of storytelling in isolation, but the fact that almost every game now, both on a AAA level and an indie level, are jumping on this lore bandwagon just annoys me. And they can be a way of appreciating the game more and going beyond the story level, like going to the gameplay level. Like sometimes I do find myself looking around at posters or desks or props around the environments for like the little bits of environmental storytelling while I play a game. And I think with the word lore, maybe it's just a case of like terms becoming outdated and getting replaced with other terms. Like backstory is slowly being eased out of people's vocabularies and like terminologies with like lore. I guess it's like in the UK, you know, people used to say chap when referring to a male, but now it's slowly got replaced with the word guy. Like no one my age in the UK says chap anymore, unless they're imitating like a posh old guy like, "Oh come on old chap, let's go pheasant hunting." And like, it's like the game Cyberpunk 2077 where they have their own slang terms for like cybernetics and like gangs, which I guess in the way is a kind of lore. Oh god damn it. This was just an observational video I've made about the annoying rise of like vague storytelling and like the surge of lore. And that's not to say that the games I mentioned in this video are bad. Well, Poppy playtime is quite bad in my opinion, and to disrespect you if you do like lore diving. Hell, I do some lore diving here and there too about franchises I play. This is just a video that was been on my mind for a while, and hopefully some games go back to like 2000s style of storytelling, but if you enjoyed this video then make sure to like and subscribe and follow my other pages, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm Rycam Productions, and I'll catch you later.